Now it's time for us to have a look at that smart trade idea from the community over there at GD247.com. Mark, what's been lighting up the phones this week?
Well, not so much lighting up the phones, but it was an interesting idea that we had about a week or so ago on a Thursday.
Yeah.
We put together a bit of analysis and came up with Vodafone as a short-term kind of Vodacom as a short-term trade. The main reasons were technical. The analysis we kind of did distribute. A little bit hard to see from that kind of move on that particular curve.
Probably around about here.
Yeah, from round about there, I think. The couple of things struck us in addition to the technical argument was the high yield on the stock. The news flow is pretty positive. The timing was also good with the market beginning to stumble around and find some kind of a bottom. But the net upshot of it is, or was rather, that the stock quickly jumped from the area where we'd indicated we thought it was a good buy. We were aware that the results were going to come through. We suspected that they would be fairly good, and they were fairly good. Yeah. The share popped through to the price, gave us our take profit, and has eased off since.
So effectively you felt this was a stock that was a little bit too heavily beaten down. You did a little bit of a check about when they normally bring out results and or trading updates related to subscribers or to earnings and that kind of thing, because often these big companies, you know, they have their audit committee the same day every single year, so you can kind of look and see. And you just felt this one was a good one. You alerted everybody that was part of that particular distribution group. You put your targets on it. You weren't greedy. You didn't say it was going to rally from 103 Rand to 133. Yeah. You were talking about a fairly narrow band, and it was one of those cases where it worked well, and since then it's bounced around a little bit more, but it just looked like a good one, and it was all
yeah, the backdrop as well of having a high yielding stock, and we know, like we said, with the property stocks, there is a bit of a yield environment around.
And it's an active trader, nice tight spreads. It's got a lot of institutional support, so you know you're not going to be sort of hung out to dry, even if you are long it.
So you take measured risk positions, short term, like the archetypal kind of short term trade, like we were alluding to in the earlier kind of segment. Yeah. This kind of fits into that kind of category.
Just quickly, I mean, Vodacom is mostly owned by Vodafone out of London. In the United States, Verizon has a joint venture with Vodafone in Verizon Wireless, and there's talk, eye-popping type talk really, if you ask me, that they're going to do a deal. One of them's going to buy each other out, and we're talking about companies that have $150 billion market valuations, talking about raising $100 billion to effect a transaction. As it stands, are you seeing those stories, and do you think it has any impact on Vodacom, or is this just another one of the global assets out there?
It could do. I mean, the announcement was made, I think, with a few days ago. They said another week before, not the announcement yet, there was an announcement that there is merchant bank activity taking place from the Verizon. Verizon has approached people to kind of line something up, and people are maybe joining the dots together a little bit. The other side is that if Voda does have to do something, there's a possibility, this is Vodafone, the UK entity, of triggering a lot of kind of taxation issues with offshore domiciled parties, which could have a significant cost implication to it. As you said, they're throwing around massive numbers on this. I think ultimately the spin-off could be positive if this does work its way through. If it's going the other way to the way we think it is, it could be very, very interesting in terms of who ends up kind of controlling what as such.
Exactly.
But it can only really be positive in that we know we've got a good yielding asset here at this rate in this country, where that yield is materially higher than the yields that are going to be achieved offshore.
Yes.
So on that basis, there may be a pull to market, pull to valuation effect through the new ultimate